What is up, YouTube family? So today we are back working on the BMW. We are actually doing spark plugs and ignition coils. So I'm using the Bosch brand for the spark plugs, and we are using the
Remy Premium Car Systems brand for the ignition coils.
So the reason why we went this route is because I actually got the actual kit for this entire part from E46 Tuning. Comes with the grease and the socket for this, and I'll put the link down below in the description so you guys can check that out. Roughly about the cost of all 6 of the spark plugs and all 6 of the ignition coils were roughly around 300 bucks. It is something that's needed. I'm gonna show you. This car has a little trouble cranking in the beginning, so those are results of 2 things from what I can tell: is either the spark plugs and ignition coil and or the battery. The battery I know I gotta replace pretty soon, but this is general maintenance that also needs to be done on the BMW. So I'll show you like a quick before and after, and hopefully it actually makes a big difference. To get to the spark plugs, we do need to take off the engine cover. Before we take this off, it is easier if we take off this cabin filter system right here. So literally unscrew there, unscrew that one, and this one as well. Filter will come off, just like that. Take off this, take out the filter. And then, if you look right here, there are 4 screws that we do need to take apart. Okay guys, so to remove those 4 screws, it is a T30, and then so we're just gonna take off all those 4 screws, and this entire frame will come off. I could not enter. I walked into the flames, called out your name, but there was no answer. And now I know my heart even goes down. Alright guys, so once we got those 4 screws out, this literally just comes right out. That way it gives us more access to the engine covers and the spark plugs.
There are 4 nuts on top of the engine cover. It typically is a 10mm. That's what I'm using right now.
So when you take off the engine cover, these are the 1, 2, 3, and 4 to get to. So there are 2 pieces for this engine cover, and then to remove this one, you gotta take off this oil cap. That way it can feed right through.
Alright, so after you get those couple screws off of the top, that case just comes straight up and up. This one, like Mehul said, holy crap, that's tight. You have to remove cap, and that should slide right up and over that as well.
And then we're gonna put the cap back on so that way nothing falls in.
Yeah, you don't want that.
This way now it gives us access to all 6 of the spark ignition coils and spark plugs right underneath it. Alright, so these are 2 10mm sockets, nuts, bolts, whatever you want to call it. And then we're gonna unscrew those screws out. So to show you on how to separate the ignition, the cable from the ignition coil, so you're gonna lift this piece right up. It's like a little locking mechanism. So you lift it right up, and then this black piece just separates. Go ahead, pull on that, man. Yeah, just pull it, just like that, and it just separates like that. So we're just gonna do that for all 6, and then that way it just separates the ignition coils right there. These are the actual factory ones. So it's great so that we're actually replacing, because this car now has 140,000 miles on it. So it's best to go ahead and replace all of it with the spark plugs.
It looks like there is a little bit of a ground right here. Just make sure to reconnect that when you get everything installed. Looks like there's one on each side.
So now we got all the 6 ignition coils out right over here. These are all the old ones. So now what we have is a 5/16 socket that comes with it, and there's a magnet inside of it, so that way this be connected to that. So now once we put it in, we'll just unscrew it. So as we're going back a little more into spark plugs, like this is the second one we got out.
It's the third one.
Third one that we got out. Which one's that?
That's the second. It's even more followed on the third one than it is the second.
And then when looking at these are some, I guess, champion generic brand of the spark plugs that were in it. So we're putting Bosch in. So Bosch has a better rep and works better with German vehicles, and that's gonna hopefully make a significant difference.
And now I know my heart is a ghost town.
Yeah, I'll give you $50 if you like it.
50?
$50.
So you shake on it.
Should I do it, guys? Should I? Okay, so if we do this, he has to put this in his mouth for, let's just say, a minute.
A minute? We went from licking to a minute. How about $10 to lick it?
$10 to lick it.
All right. Tastes like oil.
There's oil on that.
Guys, this is the last time you'll see Kale. He might die.
Ooh, kind of gross.
So we got all the 6 spark plugs out, and now we're just gonna put the new ones back in. So when you're putting it back in, what we're gonna do is we're gonna just hand tighten them first. So like by tightening it with this one. The torque specs for the BMW is around 18 foot-pounds of torque. So we're just gonna hand tighten it first, and then that way we'll get a torque wrench and torque it from there. Alright, so now what we did, we got our torque wrench and just one click. So we got it torqued down, we have it to 20 foot-pounds of torque. Now we got that click, and we're just gonna do that for all of them. We got all the spark plugs in, now we gotta do the ignition coils. These are the Bremmy ignition coils that came with this kit, and it also came with the grease to protect the boot from it. So the way we're gonna do is we're gonna put a little bit on our finger, and then we're gonna like put a little bit dab on the hole right there. And once the main purpose of this is basically to avoid the boot getting stuck to the spark plugs. So now we got all the 6 ignition coils back into the BMW, and now we just gotta connect the wire again. And to show you again on how to do this, you're gonna make sure that this tab is lifted up. You're gonna put the wire in, just like that, and then you're gonna pop down.
Or not.
Or not. Alright guys, so it was a little bit of a tight fit, but once you push on it, and it'll see perfectly fine.
Try pressing the cable inwards and pushing one side at a time first, and that kind of got me able to wiggle the cables in. Alright guys, so we have all of the ignition coils and all of the new spark plugs in and installed. Everything's screwed down and tight, and we're gonna have Mahul go ahead and give it a start for us and see if the after effect is a little bit better. Go for it. Give it one more try. Well, it seems like it might have had a little bit of an impact. Not as much as we had hoped, I think. It really could be part of the battery, and we'll show you that later.
Alright guys, so there wasn't too much of a big difference in changing the spark plugs, but it is something that was needed for me to do. Basically what we're doing now is just buttoning everything back up, putting the engine cover back on, and then we're putting on the cabin filter mechanism. So again, you just got to put the 4 screws back into it, get rid of the torque 30. After that, that's it.
Alright guys, so we finished up the ignition coils and all of the spark plugs. We had Dennis help us. If you want to show yourself a little bit. Hey! But it really wasn't that bad. You're pretty much going to be using a 10mm socket most of the time. And then, what was the other one we used?
We used a torque 30 to take off the actual cabin filter. So that way it'll give us more access to the engine cover and the actual spark plugs and ignition coils.
But other than that, we got a little bit less, I think, than what we were looking for result-wise. Yeah. We do have to change the battery and the terminals on the back. In the near future we'll kind of get that going, but I think it helped a little bit.
Yeah. But that's it for this video. Please share, subscribe, and like, and we'll catch you guys soon. See you guys.